This live stream is presented to you by MaxSpeed TV. All live streaming content that is presented in this telecast is owned by MaxSpeed TV, Rudy Cummings, and the entire crew of MSTV. This may not be rebroadcasted, retransmitted, and retelevised without written consent. Please enjoy today's broadcast. We welcome everybody back here live for tonight's iSCAR testing event here at Homestead, Miami, in which we were supposed to be at Langley earlier, but a bit of changes were made, and now we're here at the 1.5 mile oval here down at Miami, Florida. And we're gonna go do some, yet again, another day of iSCAR testing. Just as usual, I guess. Nothing much to say, but thanks for joining us here live tonight.
Now, business as usual, will that also be Rex as usual? I sure hope not, but of course, I'm Dewey Schramm. You know who I am already. Got the three-man booth for tonight's testing session for the first time in a while, so glad you're all back here to hear us blabber about nonsense for probably an hour and a half or so, but we're gearing up for the Winter Series. It'll probably start within a couple weeks or so. So definitely looking forward to that. And a bit of an off topic to start with. Of course, you all saw the big news today of the 2021 Cup Series schedule coming out. And this very Homestead track is now the second race of the season after Daytona. So looking at the different schedule changes that we're going to see for next year, which ones are you guys looking forward to the most?
Benjamin, we'll start off with you. Any opinions?
Well, the times are really close right now in practice, so I think that'll play into having a pretty close, decent race here tonight. Hunter Johnson obviously showing himself as the fastest car here at the racetrack, but there's about maybe 7 other guys that I think can challenge him on a run here, but we'll have to see if we can even get a run. Just based on our past testing sessions, it's been kind of a hassle, but hey, the Xfinity test went really well at Iowa, so we've seen it on both ends already. We'll see what happens.
We'll pull up standings here on the left-hand side of your screen as drivers make way for their practice times and such like that. But anybody interesting you see here on the leaderboard that you're looking forward to see perform here tonight?
Well, I guess we'll revisit the original topic perhaps later on in the race, but you know, it's an ARCA testing session, so I mean, I don't know if you can really look forward or look towards certain people and this may honestly be one of the most even series that we'll have this fall series, because of course everybody has to go through these old Nats cars in order to get themselves up to a higher class. So all these guys should know these cars extremely well. So it's going to come down to how good of a setup these guys have. And for someone like Hunter Johnson and Christopher Weil, you see those two currently 1-2 on the board, 2 of the more experienced drivers in iSCAR. If you're going to look for anybody, look for the 12 and the 41.
Last season's champion is not present. That was Cody Webster, who ran the 45 back in the day. But the person who I think finished second in that...
Was it Nick?
I think it was Miller. I'm not really sure. I'm going to have to pull up standings and take a look at that right now. But
yeah, of course, Cody...
I think it was Dominic Howe.
Was it Dominic?
I think it was.
Let's see.
You're right. It was Dominic. Dominic is in the session,
okay.
So he was way too far back. Webster had a 45-point lead when the season ended, so
but that wasn't close.
Yeah, it wasn't even close. So we don't run a chase here in the Bronze Series, but there's only 10 races, so a lot could happen within those 10 races.
Yeah, of course, the top 3 series in iSCAR, the Platinum Series, the Gold, and the Silver, are going to be 20 races each, and this is only the 10-race mini-season with the super late models returning for another season on the second half of the Winter Series. So, you know, if you fall back pretty quickly here, you're going to have literally half the amount of races to recover in terms of points. So if you really want to get this championship, you cannot fall behind at all or have an off night, because even one bad night in this series could wreck your championship hopes. And before we get any further, another shout out, of course, to Scott Yost in that number 85 for sponsoring this series for season number 3 with the NASCAR's, the Yost Auto Sales Series. So thank you once again to Scott for chipping in and helping us grow more as a league. And that will do it here for practice.
Yep, we're going to shoot ourselves to the side and take a couple of radio checks. We'll be right back right after this. This is the iSCAR Auto Racing Association getting set to go green here in just a moment. We're back here live here at Homestead Miami Speedway. About to go green here in just about 3 minutes as currently qualifying underway as of right now. Drivers trying to log in their fastest 2 of the night. Get themselves set up front. Currently only 5 drivers logging in a lap time. And currently sitting up top, that would be 121 of Sawyer St. Clair. Is that Jeffrey?
Yes, it is.
That's what I was thinking. I thought that was Jeffrey St. Clair, but
Must have been his dad's name, probably.
perhaps.
So
And
he changed it.
finally got the name changed.
Good to see
yes.
him back regardless. Made a couple starts across the different winter series last year. Currently still on the top of the board. Carson Poindexter currently in spot number 2. Our 2 fastest cars from practice, Hunter Johnson and Christopher Weil, yet to put down qualifying laps, but I'm sure they will within the next 2 minutes. But only about looks like 0.8 of a second or so between first and ninth. So if we keep that about the same, this should be a pretty competitive field here for tonight's test. And of course, this race can be especially useful because this Homestead track is race number 6 on the Yost Auto Sales Series schedule. So this is a great opportunity for these guys to pick up some knowledge about these cars at this track and use it later on this season and perhaps at some other tracks that we will visit along the way. Bit of a tongue twister there.
I find it a bit interesting here as well because we're only running 1 extra tire set. So they're going to, of course, start on some fresh rubber once we take the green flag, but you only have 1 set. And it's going to be mostly 1 set for this whole entire season. I'm taking a look at through the current schedule right now, and let me go ahead and pull up the tire sets that we're going to run here at Homestead, but I think it's going to be just 2. Either 3 or 2, but there's very, very minimal tire sets here at, it's going to be 3, by the way, and there's very minimal tire sets here for tonight's race, so I'm interested to see how these drivers are going to manage it. Benjamin, you could fill us in on, of course, the new updates that iRacing has implemented and how it's debuting here tonight.
Yeah, tire sets was something that was rumored for a while, and they finally put it in sometime in the last build. But yeah, I think it adds another element of strategy to these races. Of course, no fast repairs in tonight's race, so these guys are also going to have to keep their cars clean. But the good thing about the damage model is it can easily be repaired. It's actually a lot harder to blow an engine in these kinds of cars with this new damage model than cars with the old damage model, such as the truck, which kind of has a broken damage model right now. So this damage model is also going to play into effect. I think you'll see a lot, if people get in a crash, a lot of them are going to get their damages repaired, no hassle.
All right, here we go, getting set for tonight's main event. The grid is going to be shown on the bottom of your screen as we get set here to go green in just a moment. Congratulations to the man of, drumroll please, Hunter Johnson. Going to start himself up top, right alongside of him, the 121 of Sawyer St. Clair.
And in row number 2, we've got the 21 of Carson Poindexter, and to his outside, our part-time commentator, Kenneth Bueno, in the 117.
Nick Miller in the number 95 is going to be starting in 5th place, right along the number 86, the Dominic Cow, your the person who ran runner-up to your champion of Cody Webster.
2 good cars in that row. Row number 4 gives us the 93 of Corey Long, and to his outside, series sponsor, Scott Yost.
Row number 5 going to be Colton Zimmer and Hunter Rupp. Colton, one of the rookies here for tonight.
Yeah, Colton Zimmer won the truck test session at race at Michigan last week, so a bit of perhaps some momentum for him. Row 6 gives us the 63 of Thomas Lloyd, who also ran really good in that truck testing session, and it was outside the 69 of Frank DeAngelis, who hopefully won't be sent up into orbit like he was at Michigan.
Row number 7 going to consist of AJ Bain in the number 13 machine, and our first non-qualifier, Christopher Weil, in that number 41.
And while the IndyCar Series champion over the Summer Series, 53 of Mark Frimpong leads off round number 8, and perennial bad luck Burgee will be in 16th for tonight's start.
2 veterans in row number 9 going to consist of William Schmidt in the number 79 and Peter Kenny in the number 19.
And the rest of the top 20 here, the 777 of Garrett Hess, and to his outside the 70 of Harry Grindle, racing late night from Great Britain.
Rest of the order is going to be shown on your screen. Find your favorite driver, and hopefully he'll win it here for tonight, as I think there are 26 drivers lining up this field here for tonight. And I'm interested to see on how this will all play out here coming toward the end. And these drivers are starting to roll off.
We'll make that 25, of course, Benjamin on the lineup. He's, of course, not here. He's not racing.
Yeah, I'm not going to be driving. I don't like this track particularly. I did some practice laps, and I was slower than Norm Benning out there, so I'm not going to race. At least this race, so...
Well, that's the spirit, man.
Anyways...
Track facts about Homestead, I guess. Basically a mile and a half, give or take, I guess. A couple of tenths of a mile. Of course, it's an oval. Pit road speed, 50 miles per hour. Not the hardest of pit roads to get on, but you can still make mistakes here. See Kurt Busch in the 2004 title race. Almost lost his championship that way. 2 tire sets for tonight's race. Fuel will be a non-factor with it only being, I think, what, 45 laps?
Yep,
Correct.
45 laps. Pace car slides itself left onto pit road. Glad you're here tonight us here on KMN. Green flag is up. We're up and away here at Homestead.
Ooh, big stack up on the front straightaway. Some guys did not get going, and 3 wide. Going into turn number 1, Thomas Lloyd to the inside of a few cars already. Contact. These guys need to watch out, and now we're going to have a crash.
No.
Yost gets turned around.
And that's going to be a quick
that's
video
Yurik.
in another car.
More cars. Hunter Rupp involved.
Scott Yost has a lot of damage already. Looks like Burgee may have gotten a piece of that, as there was one car that spun after the initial spin, so a couple cars may already be out of tonight's race, and it didn't take very long for the first incident of the night to break out. And going 3 wide into turn 1 on lap 1 isn't always the best of ideas.
That's the one of Max Yurik. He slammed the outside wall as well, but they were 3 wide. I have a lot of room up that high side, but the way that contact registered, I honestly think there was a bit of netcode that was involved in that. We'll take another look on how this incident unfolded, but
I think there was contact between Frimpong and Yost into turn 1. You'll see right here, or no, Frimpong and Hunter Rupp, and then Yost gets tagged here, and Frimpong and Rupp go into the outside wall. And I think Rupp was the car that spun further up, but yeah, just not a lot of real estate here when you're going that tight into turn 1 on the first lap, and unfortunately a couple of cars already out of tonight's event as a result.
yeah, it looks like the 53 of Frimpong. Either the 63 at Thomas Lloyd, who was all the way down to the low side. I think he slid up just a bit, but Mark was anticipating maybe him to stay right down to that yellow line. And you were correct. It was number 1 of Hunter Rupp, who ended up spinning down and collecting a couple of more. That was, looks like Berge and AJ Bain.
Yeah, I knew I saw another car up there, so it turns out it was the number 8. So not a good start for AJ and the rest of the guys involved. Looks like we've got a couple of cars also that did not start tonight's events. I think we've got about 16 or 17 people still out on the racetrack. So losing a couple of people early on, but hopefully we can get a good green flag stretch here, and it doesn't end up like Michigan where we just had an absolute caution fest the whole way.
Currently still up front, the number 12 of Hunter Johnson. I'm not expecting anybody to pit and use up their only set of tires. It's a 45 lap race, so I wouldn't say it's fairly lengthy, but they're gonna have to manage their tires definitely a lot during throughout tonight's event.
I mean, tire sets for this series shouldn't be as much of an issue as it will be in other winter series. Of course, these races are much shorter, as are the ARCA counterparts in real life. So, of course, you still have to manage your tires as best you can with only having 2 tire sets. But with a shorter race, you can make 1 set of tires last much longer than you can if this was a truck race at Homestead or a cup race at Homestead.
Yeah, that's right. I agree with you on that a lot. Currently down the back, Hunter in the number 12. Didn't run full time last season. Of course, a couple seasons ago he did. He ended up winning the truck title. And Alec Daffin was also the other title winner in that season as well. But see Poindexter in there in that number 21 as well. Poindexter, I talked about him a lot. He's actually on your team, Dewey.
Indeed, he is one of the co-owners of SPM Racing going into its first full winter series. Me, Carson, and Ritwick co-own that team, so looking for bigger and better things in our first winter series, and not a bad first impression, and what was a pretty classic paint scheme there, the inverse Jeff Gordon flames from, I want to say, 2004. So the SPM crew already up there at the front and looking pretty spiffy in the process, and right behind that number 21 is another member of our team, Corey Long, in that number 93.
Corey's been having a good run so far, even though it was only 1 corner. He's up into 4th place, and he's used to these cars better than probably any other car other than the Cup car, because I know Corey runs a lot of NIS, so these cars and the Cup cars are definitely his best cars, and it's going to be interesting to see how he will do throughout the season in those series.
Alright, here we go. Attempt number 2 at getting this race underway. Gonna restart the race on 40 laps to go. As number 12 up front, early this top 5 has changed, so gonna restart it yet again as is. And we'll see how this restart will go as the field will work itself into 1.
Biggest mover so far, Garrett Hess started himself in 19th. And that 777 already finds himself up into 9th. So somehow, in 1 turn, he managed to pick up 10 spots. So I guess watch out for that 777 here tonight, unless that's a Tigger glitch. But we're back underway regardless here on lap number 6.
One car into the wall.
Whoa,
There they
Matt
go.
gets turned. Big
crash.
crash.
Yurik and AJ Bain go around, one other car around as well. Nice job by the 5 of Brayson Collins to miss that, and that's the Peter Kenny machine also involved, and I'm not sure what happened there, but Yurik got the wall and stuff happened.
Not sure what Max is doing.
Maybe just drifted up there and didn't realize he did, or
just drifted up there. Of course, everybody right behind trying to take evasive maneuver, and when Max came off the wall, Peter was right there.
Man, Joe Burgee, you mentioned him in the lineup. Bad luck Burgee strikes again. Just no fault of his own, slams the inside wall. Man, that 83, I don't know. He has to be the unluckiest driver in iSCAR history, and at some point, it's got to turn around for him, because at this point, it can only go up for him, right?
I don't know. He just got involved in both wrecks of the night, and we're not even on lap number 10, and it's looking bad for him right now. Hopefully, again, this ain't foreshadowing on how his season's gonna go, but man.
Oh boy. I'm sorry, Joe. So that'll probably take a few more people out, but yeah, that was such a weird one, the way he just hit the wall and just spun down to the inside. But have our first taker of the night, Corey Long, pits from the top 5 for what should be, I believe, will be his first tire set of the night. Of course, that's the same Dale Earnhardt Jr. won the 2004 Daytona 500, unless that's the 05 version, but either way, a classic scheme from my childhood.
Actually, I'm not sure if there even are tire sets.
Well,
because there's
off the way the car moved, I think there are.
I mean, no, as in like there's no tire set limits. I don't think there are.
I'm checking right now.
Yeah.
And info tab says unlimited tire sets,
yeah.
But I want to go back to one of Dewey's points about Max getting in the wall. With this damage model, if you even hit the wall, it will just grab you in like a sucker. And that's just what happens. You get stuck on the wall, and then it'll shoot you off when you try to turn left, and it just collects cars. So it's one thing that's kind of flawed about the damage model, the way you have to turn it so hard to get off the wall, and then you'll be going into other cars anyways. So that's just a big mistake there on the front straightaway, but there wasn't a whole lot he could do to prevent the after effect of that.
Well, we saw that on lap 1 when Hunter Rupp got collected in the Scott Yost Mark Frimpong incident, where he ended up in the outside wall and spun down like that. But it was just weird to see that happen on a straightaway, especially coming to the green flags. Of course, we see all the time, between iRacing and, for us, NR 2003, we have a lot of experience in that as well, where if you end up in that outside wall, you get stuck like it's gum up there. And whenever you end up off the wall, you just spin immediately. But seeing that on a straightaway is a bit different. Hopefully that's just only happens once and it doesn't happen again. But unfortunately, it took out a few more people. And hopefully we can get ourselves a green flag run here. Now that we've gotten maybe some jitters out of the way, perhaps.
19 cars left on the racetrack. A couple are a lap down. Peter Kenny and Joe Burgee are the 2 lap cars. Both of them 1 lap down, so they could easily just get the free pass. But only one of them can. Of course, the first car 1 lap down will get that free pass.
Yeah, with the way that this race has started off, you may not have to wait very long to receive the lucky dog. And if you don't get it on the next caution, I will hedge my bets that we'll have at least 2 more cautions before this race is over. So, barring anything crazy from happening, the 19 and the 83 both will probably be on the lead lap before not too much longer. But Hunter Johnson and Carson Poindexter will be your front row for restart number 3 of tonight's test session.
I just noticed a bit of a ticker glitch, of course, when it says 1 to go. It does display the white flag, so we of course, it's just a bit ticker. We will fix that up once it comes down to the classic season. So
that's what testing's for.
Yep.
I mean, it is technically the last lap of the caution, right? So it is kind of the white flag in that regard. Anyways, we're about to go back green.
Okay,
Hopefully we get
Mr.
more lap
Technicality Man.
more than a lap in. But I'm interested to see how these guys will do on a long run. Obviously, we have to make some laps to do so, but I'm liking the 12 right now. I think he's going to have the speed to win the race.
Well, if we keep having cautions, nobody will have a chance to pass him, so I guess by default I'll pick the 12 as well. But watch out for Carson. I think he's got a shot here in this next couple laps, as long as they get a green run here.
There we go. Pace car slides itself left. Green flag is out. A bit of a stack up as Carson got a, I wouldn't say a bad restart. The Hunter just got a good one, and they're going to be side by side for second, as well as the 121 is going to look under that number 21 machine. So they go side by side for second, but they single right up off the corner. And now all the matters of how Hunter Johnson will control this thing.
It's a bit hard to judge whether somebody actually has a bad restart or not unless they, spin the tires and almost spin somebody else out. But with the way the control car works, the leader has complete control over the way the restart goes, and the second place car next to them cannot beat them to the line. And big block there by that white car. I'm not sure.
Dominic.
That's Dominic.
Oh man, they really slid up the track because how low they were on entry. That allowed Kenneth Bueno up on the high side. What a move!
This is easily his best track, guys. He knows how to run this place.
Yeah, if Kenneth can stay consistent during the Winter Series, of course, with the Winter Series races, or seasons rather, ending at Homestead, as Dominic washes right up in front of the 117. If Kenneth can make himself into the Final Four going into one of the Homestead races, that's a dark horse candidate right there for a championship if he makes it there.
Look at him just rim ride right up against that safety barrier. It's going to take him a bit of momentum. Crossover right there on Thomas Lloyd. But in the meanwhile, that number 12, Hunter Johnson, sort of checking out. As now we see a battle here for third, as well as Poindexter and Dominic are going to duke it out hand in hand. Right behind them, they're starting to look a bit racy as well, as they go side by side, and that's William Schmidt up on the high side against, looks like Christopher Weil.
Yeah, Schmidt almost got the wall right there, but kept it out of there. Oh, now he's in the wall.
Oh, no.
Into turn one. Hopefully he doesn't spin down the track. Looks like he's fine, but he might hit it again out at 2. And looks like he will not do so. Bit of a move there down the backstretch. Bit of a block by the 41 on the 09. I'm not sure who that 09 is. I think that's Colton Zimmer. And Schmidt almost in the wall, and I hope that's a blinker and not a spinner.
You were correct. That 09 was Colton Zimmer in the number, in that green machine. Meanwhile, Hunter Johnson is already checked out by nearly a second over that 121, and because there's no tire sets, I'm pretty sure everybody's going to be pushing at 100 to 10% most of the time until that caution comes around. But for all these other drivers, they're still grouped up together, and big wiggle right behind. I don't know who that was. I think that was Colton Zimmer.
Close call there. That could have been big with William Schmidt right there. Of course, Colton won our first test of the Winter Series when the truck test at Michigan last week. So one of the rookies in iSCAR showing off his talent already by picking up one checkered flag, trying to pick up a second one, but currently finds himself outside the top 10, so got a bit of work to do before this test is over, about a third of the way through so far. A couple of damaged cars back here battling. That's AJ Bain and Max Urich, 2 cars involved on that last restart wreck.
They look damageless, and that worries me if there's about fast repairs too, but currently it's not really affecting the racing as much as I thought it would, because if there were infinite fast repairs, these drivers would be pushing it all over each other with no worries. But for right now, everybody just spread out, minding their own P's and Q's, as we see a battle here for, looks like this is going to be for 7th position, Frank DeAngelis and the, looks like the number 41, Christopher Weil, are side by side in one.
Yeah, DeAngelis, of course, we just talked about the truck test at Michigan. Frank DeAngelis went absolutely flying in that test session. Nick Miller and William Schmidt made some contact, and Nick came up out of the grass, and that man went flying. So hopefully the 69 car can stay on the track versus being
Oh no! Good save.
Free of Lloyd. Did he save that?
Wow, he did.
Watch out, everybody else! William had to go way to the inside to avoid that, but incredible save right there. That could have easily been a caution, but 63 was able to hang on to the car.
Definitely a highlight reel save there by Thomas Lloyd. Right there out of turn 4 and kept it out of the grass, too. Great job to hold on to that race car. And right here, William just jerks it to the left to get around him, and they split him 3 wide. But saves his own race and perhaps saved a few other people's races there. So good piece of driving there by Thomas Lloyd as we hit the lap 20 point. Dominic's still within a second of Hunter, so the 12 car definitely the best in the field, but the 86 keeping pace with him so far. Only about second back now.
3-car battle here with William Schmidt, Harry Grindle, and Garrett Hess. They're all going to work themselves into turn number 3, and in front of them we also have another 3-way battle as well. We'll scroll that to here there soon. And number 78, Grindle works himself to the low side, and William Schmidt looks like he got a run off the corner. Garrett going to be boxed in, nowhere to go, and now works himself to the high side as Harry loses a bit of momentum. And these three are, I'm very surprised how wide they are. Williams running the higher seam, and which that's usually no man's land. But William doing a nice job of maintaining pace up there on that high side. I'm fairly surprised to see that high side kick in.
Not necessarily a bad thing, of course. You know, nothing wrong with a multi-move racetrack at all. I wish there were more of those on iRacing and in real life. So it makes races like this a lot more interesting if you can get multiple grooves to work throughout the course of a race. So as long as that 79 stays up there and there are guys working on the bottom side, it should make for a much more entertaining test session. Hopefully that can translate over to the 4 races we'll have here in the Winter Series. AJ
Bain had a really good save right up off the 4th corner. Another great save right there as I saw a red car jaunt to the inside. I was wondering who it was, and I was like, uh-oh, that might be a wreck. But luckily, AJ kept the car straight, and he's still rolling on the racetrack. But unfortunately, he's fallen back to 15th, way outside the car in front of him.
Ooh, 79 got the wall.
Battle for 3rd there. That's Carson and Sawyer St. Clair. There's Schmidt and the 79. Yeah, Schmidt's gotten the wall a couple times. Of course, the only one running the outside. You run that risk of hitting the wall. And speaking of hitting the wall, the 777 of Garrett Hess does just that. And that would be a pass for 9th place. So put that 79 up another position, and Hess will have to try to recover from that as quick as possible.
Looking back here to the number 63, a Thomas Lloyd car on the wall right in front of the 09. They're going to spin.
No caution yet.
Has to go up the track. Lloyd doesn't hit anything.
Caution.
There's the yellow flag, but a good job by both of those guys to not hit any walls or anything else. And no other cars were involved, but it's the same thing that happened to Hunter up earlier. You get that outside wall, you stick to it like glue, and then it just spits you right back out, and around they both went.
I'll bring out the 3rd caution of the night. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to hit pit road. And for Hunter Johnson, that'll mean going to give Dominic Allen, that number 86, a chance to grab the lead here in just a moment. So pit road's going to be a busy place.
Quite honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if a couple people decide to stay out here. Looks like Hunter may be the first taker. Looks like Sawyer St. Clair will come down, as well as Christopher Wild, but it looks like Dominic and Carson are the only 2 to stay out on the racetrack. So this is going to be interesting. And the thing about them staying out is nothing at all, because they're going to actually come down. So, all right. Well, it saves me a bunch of absolute nonsense I now don't have to say. But actually, somebody back there did, in fact, stay out. I'm not sure if they're left or not.
Peter's getting the wave around.
Well, there you go. But everybody else on pit road for 4 tires, you know, no fuel necessary, but they'll probably end up getting it anyway. And I would assume somebody's already off pit road. That was a quick stop.
Berge misses
Joe
pit
Berge.
I missed a stall. That's unfortunate. He may have been a lap down already, though, but that's Joe Berge. Hunter first off pit road. Dominic 2nd. Carson 3rd. Looks like Well will pick up spot there in 4th, and I think that's Harry off in 5th. So a couple of position changes in this yellow flag pit stops here, but plenty of time to make that back up on track with, looks like we'll probably go green with about 17 to go.
Yep, that's right. I find it a bit interesting. Joe missed his pit stall, but he's gonna be in front of the leader, I think. So maybe he could opt for a wave around, I guess, and be on the lead lap right in front of Hunter. So I'm not sure if Joe wants to stay himself out. It looks like he's gonna elect himself on a pit road. So it would have been interesting if Joe stayed himself out, even though he hit. I mean, not really stayed. He came on a pit road, of course, but if he stayed out right in front of that number 12, I think it would have given him a wave around. I'm not really sure.
Well, there was one way to find out, and nobody chose to have that way, so we'll never know. But right before the caution came out, I was starting to notice that a few more people were starting to use that higher groove up against the wall through turns 1 and 2 especially. We saw William get up there almost from the drop of the green flag, but a few more guys are starting to get their way up there, so perhaps some rubber starting to be put down up on that high side. So we'll have to see how the high side plays into how this race will finish with more people starting to jump up there. Maybe Dominic could try to make that high side work and stay up there with Hunter, but that 12 car has been the class of the field all night so far.
Yeah, and restarts too are so advantageous to that leader, number 12, Hunter Johnson. The pace car is basically in turn 4 when it pulls off left, and Hunter has a long ways ahead to the start-finish line, which is dead center of the front straightaway. We'll get a view of it, a wider view right here, and right around, I'd say that first dash mark is when the pace car pulls itself left. You know, they pace all the way down at, I think, 45 miles per hour, and all the way to the green flag right here at the start-finish line. So again, another ticker glitch as it says white flag, but obviously 1 lap to go. But for the 12, Hunter Johnson, he has a lot of room to toy around with this restart.
Agreed. And as I was starting to mention a bit earlier on in the broadcast, the control car on these restarts has such a huge advantage over everybody else in the field, because the control car literally chooses when everybody else in this field can go. So unless you spin the tires extremely badly, you're almost guaranteed to have a pretty sizable lead, at least through the first couple turns. The only track that may not work too well at are the restrictor plate tracks, where you need the draft to do absolutely anything. But for a track like this, with the restarts that Hunter can control and get, it's going to be a tough task for anybody to get towards him before this is over.
What Carson needs to do, he needs to be faster than Hunter Johnson on this pacing, the pacing portion once the pace car pulls left. And once Hunter hits the throttle, Carson could use his momentum to his advantage and maybe scoot down to the inside. But looks like he's closed the gap between himself and the number 12. So probably a classic restart for that number 21 just to get himself in pace. We'll have to see. Green flag is out. We're up and away.
Yeah, the thing about that as well is Dominic quickly files in behind the 12, is you can try to be faster than the leader in front of you, but if you go too fast, the leader can just jam on the brakes and totally kill your momentum, if not give you some damage. So definitely a tricky game to play, as AJ Bain has gone around and hit the outside wall, and that will bring out a quick restart caution. So Carson will get another opportunity to try and get himself past Hunter, and we'll get a look and see what put AJ in the wall, not once, not twice, but it looks like 3 times.
He's still trying to get himself going. Finally gets himself going, but yeah, all happened toward the back. AJ and the number 8. Looks like a lot of restart issues, honestly.
They're the 4th one already.
Yeah, that's right. Luckily, this race is only 45 laps, so it ain't too much. And the 8 just lost it.
Oh, somebody hit him. I don't know. That may have been Brayson Collins. I'm not 100% sure, but when he spun down the track.
It was Long.
Oh, that Corey Long. So the 2 Dale Jr. Budweiser schemes unfortunately make some contact. Good job by Corey of keeping the car straight, as just nowhere to go for that 93, but he'll probably have to come down for some damage repairs, but fortunately nobody else seems to be a victim of that. But unfortunately AJ just looped it right around, and that'll be another, looks like 3 or 4 laps under the pace car.
Got an interesting development. Hunter Johnson might have to go before this race ends, so
oh no,
if we get more cautions, we might have the opportunity for a different winner, because Our leader is on a time crunch right now, and if we keep having cautions like we are, it won't play into his favor. He's going to have to leave before then.
That'll suck. So for the 1200 John, I mean, I guess for the 86, for Dominic Howe, I'm pretty sure he's not on a time crunch. He's probably hoping for cautions, and hopefully Hunter will have to dip maybe sometime later. But what I found interesting about that is AJ spun right in the entry of the corner. I think that was just a case of cold tires. Of course, tires need to get heated up before the drop of the green, and for AJ, unfortunately, you really misjudged turn number 1 and lost it all by himself. And these ARCA cars are set up differently as well. They're not as stiff, I guess you could say, as what you see on the Xfinity and Cup side. The truck is more floatier than those two, but these ARCA cars are probably the floatiest cars. You see how high they're off the ground as well. We gotta zoom up on the number 12, Hunter Johnson. Look at that front end and how high it's raised up off the ground, and that in turn opens up a lot of momentum, and it makes this car very, very much momentum based. So you have to be very stable with a wheel. And not saying AJ wasn't stable with I guess you could say AJ just wasn't too stable with a wheel coming into Terminal 1. He also probably had the value of cold tires as well coming into turn number 1. So a lot of things playing in to a lot of these restart wrecks as well.
Yeah, the ARCA cars seem to be one of the harder ones to drive, but of course with everybody on iRacing basically having to use these cars to get anywhere past D-Class as they progress up the class ladder. You have to remember that these ARCA cars were scanned around 2008, 2009. These are one of the oldest cars on the service. Of course, the Cup cars recently scanned, in the last 2-3 years. Of course, all 3 of the main series scanned within the last 2 or 3 years, but these are one of the oldest cars you can find on iRacing. So updates like this, perhaps, I don't know how the whole software and stuff like that works, but perhaps these cars are a bit more challenging to update. So I don't know. I may be talking out of my rear end here, but with how old these cars are, they definitely do present a more unique challenge that the newer cars may not.
Yeah, I definitely agree on you with that, Dewey. These cars drive way, way different. These were actually the former B cars, what was called the Nationwide Series. So,
yeah, the fact that these were once the B car way back in iRacing's infancy back in 2008 when those big old winged COTs were the A car, that certainly was a time in iRacing and real-life history, but of course we've progressed past the need for the COT, even though you can still drive them on iRacing. That may be a fun series iSCAR could do one day. But speaking of racing, we've still got 12 laps of this one left to go. Hunter Johnson's, I think, led every one of them so far. Dominic Howe and Carson Poindexter will try once again to get past the 12, whether he has to leave or not.
Alright, here we go. Pace car lights are off. Scoots itself left. All in the hands of that number 12, Hunter Johnson. Will hit the throttle now. Green flag. We're back up and away as the field rolls into gear. And they're side by side for second place. Looks like Dominic did not get a good restart. And the 21 of Poindexter works himself to the bottom side, trying to pinch as much as he can. Great job of... Oh, contact! Looks like netcode is going to cause a big pile-up.
Oh my god! Oh, and one car up into the catch fence. Out of turn number 2, the entire top 5, except for Hunter, is involved in this one. Corey Long in the grass, Garrett Hess, Poindexter had such a great night going. William Schmidt's in there. Harry Grindle, I believe, was the car that hit the fence. But in a weird turn of events, Frank DeAngelis was knocked out of the race because he flew up into the air. And now he's going to be in second place because of another car flying up into the air. But we'll get a look and see what brought out that massive wreck here on the restart.
That looked like a lot of netcode. Like, no doubt about it. As soon as I saw it, there was definite netcode. And man, the 70 of Harry. It's taking a wild ride. And I'll get another replay of it again. But man, that was a massive wreck. And honestly, pretty surreal to see. Of course, these cars run the new damage model, and you see the netcode right there between the 21.
Christopher Wilde gets turned around and sees Sawyer St. Clair. There's Harry Grindle flying up into the catch fencing. In real life or not, that's what the catch fence is for. So, yeah, the entire top 5 involved in that, except for our race leader. So definitely a big turn of events there, but Sawyer St. Clair, I'm sure, will have to pit after being involved in that. So that should put DeAngelis back up into second place, and maybe see a closer view of Harry. We had one. Learn that as well.
Brand new people inside this top 5 because they avoided the wreck, including Max Urich and Peter Kenny. Both of them got through that wreck pretty much unscathed, so they're in the top 5 right now.
Yeah, and they were involved in one of the first incidents of the night. Of course, our second caution, Max Urich got into the wall and spun down with him and Peter Kenny. So the two of them now in the top 5. Peter got his lap back earlier and stayed himself out there. And once the track gets clogged up like that, there's just nowhere to go whatsoever. Of course, it kind of reminds us of the 2016 Cup finale at Homestead when Carl Edwards blocked Joey Logano down to the inside, and when that 19 car came up the track, that collected a ton of people. And we saw just that here at Homestead. So Hunter will continue to lead here. Looks like Sawyer St. Clair is going to stay out with the damage he just picked up. And DeAngelis, Urich, and Kenny will round out your top 5 for 7 to go? Something like that?
Yeah, just about. Yeah, currently 9 laps to go as of right now. Actually, it would be
probably at least 2 more under pace, of course.
Yeah, that's right. But man, yeah, that was a big wreck. That been a while. I personally haven't ran these ARCA cars in a while because, of course, it's just a D-Class series. There's no caution, so it's pretty unpredictable coming into each race, hour to hour. But
it's free-for-all.
Yeah, it's basically a free-for-all right there, man. Ooh, gave me some rookie flashbacks.
Yeah, rookie flashbacks. Speaking of rookies, Sawyer St. Clair is a rookie here in that 121. Currently in second place. We've already had one rookie winner in these test sessions, of course, Colton Zimmer in the truck test at Michigan. And speaking of Colton Zimmer, he also missed that big wreck, and he finds himself up in the 6th spot, I believe in that green and red car there. So perhaps if that 09 car is getting an outside shot to maybe win a second test session here. We'll have to see.
All 3 of our test winners have yet to revisit victory lane, but this is probably, I think this is the final test session of the season because super lates were canceled for Thursday to accommodate for iSCAR 2 as well as NIS coming this Thursday, so maybe we'll see a bit of super late testing coming next week. I'm not really sure, but that speaking of super late, that tire model also got updated on that side, so
about time it did.
About time, yeah.
I'm sure Carson Poindexter, one of the best late model drivers in iSCAR, along with Mulrooney, I'm sure they're very thrilled about that tire update. Of course, I believe it was Aaron that won the super late model title. I'm very excited to see that series happen again once this one finishes up around, I want to say mid-November, late November, somewhere in that neighborhood. So the super late models, of course, generally have the smallest field sizes of any of the races we'll have on iSCAR, but no shortage of great racing at all.
Here we go.
Restart.
iSCAR's going to scoot itself left. And we go green here as AJ gets a big jump. He scoots himself to the inside. I think that might be a black flag if he passed that black car. But the green flag is out anyway. 2x2 into 1.
I have this weird want where the way the pace car just shoots down on the pit road if it just hits the barrels at one point. I just have this thing like, oh, what if it finally hits the barrels because of the way it does that? But I'm sure the computer programming will make sure that doesn't happen. But got to move here to the inside. That's Scott Yost looking for the 5th spot on Colton Zimmer. Can't quite make it work. You see Sawyer St. Clair, he's already dropped a couple spots after staying out with that damage, as there's Thomas Lloyd in the 63 getting the outside wall, but thankfully did not spin down. It's another good job of keeping that car straight by the 63. That's the second or third time now that he's had an impressive save. Peter Kenny now up into the third spot. And another big move there and another great save. So hopefully they keep it straight for 5 more laps, but we'll see.
Car on the wall right behind. That's Corey Long. Whoa! Max lost it off the final corner.
Good
Looks like he's going to
save.
keep it straight. Keeps it down to the low side, but all those cars and spots are going to be lost.
A lot of great saves out of turn 4. That's the third or fourth one already that we've seen out of turn 4. Hunter's already about half a second up on Frank DeAngelis. Quite honestly, if this stays green, this thing's pretty much over at this point, barring a rare mistake from that 12 car. But nice run for Peter Kenny. He was lapped down earlier and now finds himself up in a podium spot. So nice recovery and a potential top 5 finish here for Peter, as I think that was Dominic in the wall there out of 4. 4 to go.
4 laps to go, and man, they're racing like it's no
Contact
tomorrow.
behind them. I think AJ and someone else just banged doors, and that's going to send the 8 car up into the wall. I think they may have been with Thomas Lloyd.
4 laps to go this time by. We do have green-white checkered attempts, so if we do have a caution within 5 to go or less, we will go into overtime territory. We'll explain that later if that is necessary, but right now, 5-car battle here for this 5th spot between Scott Yost, Carson Poindexter, Joe Berge, and 63 Thomas Lloyd, as Sawyer is starting to fall back a bit, but Scott in that number 85 doing a nice job of fending off that high side to Poindexter's number 21, who's has a bit of right front damage and looks like it's not helping his turn in.
Yeah, Sawyer was involved in that big one as well. He restarted second on the most recent restart, and he's now back to 9th. That damage obviously hurting his car immensely, and Scott himself was involved in the lap 1 incident, but he's now running in the 6th spot, so nice recovery for him as well. But Hunter's lead is increased by a couple more tenths, so that 12 car has pretty much said sayonara to the rest of the field, and unless he somehow spins out on his own, I think the 12 car has got it made here for this test session.
Yep, this time by as he works himself right up off the final corner. The gap between himself and Frank DeAngelis, nearly a second. A white flag for that number 12. 1 more mile. I wouldn't say 1 more mile. 1.5 miles left of racing left.
Yeah, Hunter won the pole, led practice, led every single lap. Not the first time we've said those 3 things about Hunter Johnson in the single race. Of course, absolutely dominated the street stocks over the Summer Series, won that title. He's won pretty much everything you can win in iSCAR, and only fitting that the winningest driver in iSCAR history will start off the Winter Series with a victory, whether it's a test session or not. Hunter Johnson spins it across the line and wins at Homestead.
Great job for that number 12 of Hunter. Basically, yeah, effortless, exactly. He knows how this, he knows his car best as well. I know he basically farms with his car sometimes, but how about Peter Kenny coming in with the top 3 and Poindexter surviving with a looks like 5th place.
Some extracurriculars going on post-race, but Frank DeAngelis in the 2nd spot after flying out of the track almost in the truck race the other day. We'll get you the full results here for tonight's Homestead test. So unless we get a super late model scheduled, I think that's going to be the final test of the Winter Series before we really kick things into gear. But the unofficial results here tonight from Homestead, Miami, Hunter Johnson, your winner here tonight, led every lap and led everything he could lead here tonight. Frank DeAngelis, close but not close enough, in 2nd. Peter Kenny 3rd. Colton Zimmer rounds out a great testing session for him in his first experience in iSCAR with a 4th. Carson Poindexter was in the top 5 all night, rounds himself out 5th. Our series sponsor, Scott Yost, thanks again to him, in 6th. Joe Berge rebounded nicely to get himself into 7th. Thomas Lloyd 8th. Sawyer St. Clair and Christopher Wilde round out your top 10 here in Homestead.
11th, Dominic Cal, Max York in 12th, William Schmidt in 13th, Corey Long in 14th, Bryson Collins, AJ Bain, Garrett Hess, Harry Grindle, Kenneth Bueno, Hunter Rupp round out the top 20. Mark Frimpong was involved in that first lap incident, and the rest of your order did not start for tonight's event.
Pretty talented that Benjamin actually finished in front of people when he was literally in the booth for the whole time.
Well, that'll do it here for tonight's iSCAR iRacing Stock Car Auto Racing test session for the Wednesday ARCA testing event. Of course, we've yet to go ahead and schedule our super late model test, which might be around next week. But all in the meantime of that, congratulations to that number 12, Hunter Johnson. And this will mean we are a week away from the season, or a couple weeks away, technically.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. We're getting closer and closer to the end, but for Ezeckiel Reyes and Benjamin White up in the booth tonight, I'm Dewey Schramm. Thank you and good night from Homestead Miami Speedway. Thanks for watching.